One chilly winter evening last year, I found myself alone at home. My parents were away visiting my grandparents for the weekend, leaving me in the cozy embrace of our house. Despite being accustomed to solitude, there was an unusual air that night, heightened by the fierce snowstorm raging outside. Nestled in the living room with a warm blanket, a cup of hot cocoa, and a movie for company, the contrast between the inviting warmth indoors and the relentless blizzard outside was palpable. Before settling in, I had dutifully checked and secured all locks on doors and windows, a habit ingrained by my parents. As the night progressed, the howling winds seemed to crescendo, almost as if nature itself was making a mysterious call. Attempting to dismiss the unease, I immersed myself in the movie. However, intrusive thoughts tend to intensify when you're alone, and that's when it started, a faint tapping. Initially, I attributed it to the tree branches brushing against the windows, but the rhythmic and deliberate nature of the tapping betrayed a different source. I paused the movie, straining to listen. The sound persisted, emanating from the back door. My heart quickened its pace. No one should have been outside, especially amid such a relentless storm. Creeping towards the kitchen, where the back door awaited, I endeavored to remain as silent as possible. Peeking through the curtains, I discerned a figure in the darkness, details obscured by blowing snow. Panic set in. We lived in a secluded area, miles away from the nearest neighbor. I was at a loss for what to do. Recalling my phone, I rushed to retrieve it but realized I had left it charging upstairs. As I turned to ascend, the tapping escalated into an aggressive knocking. Frozen with fear, I heard the disconcerting sound of glass breaking from the kitchen. Adrenaline surged through me, propelling me upstairs to my room where I hastily locked the door behind me. Clutching my phone, I dialed 911, narrating the harrowing situation in hushed tones. The operator assured me that help was on the way, though the storm might delay their arrival. Huddled in a corner, I listened to every ominous sound below, footsteps, drawers being rifled through, as the intruder violated the sanctity of my home. Footsteps ascended the stairs and I held my breath, praying they wouldn't breach my room. The footsteps halted outside my door, my heart pounding audibly. There was a tense silence before the intruder attempted the doorknob. Fear silenced any inclination to scream, and after a few futile tries, they moved on. I remained crouched in fear until distant sirens signaled the arrival of the police. The intruder, having sensed the impending threat, fled into the storm. The police found a broken back door and a ransacked house, but no sign of the intruder. They believed it was someone seeking refuge from the storm, possibly with intentions of theft. The incident shattered my sense of security, and it took considerable time to feel comfortable alone again. The police stationed a patrol car outside until my parents returned, and though the intruder was never caught, the experience left an indelible mark on my sense of safety. About 3 years ago, I found myself in a rental house during a visit to see my brother. He lived 6 hours away, and our rare meetings meant I had to find alternative accommodation since his apartment had only one bedroom. Opting for convenience, I chose a rental close to his place, priced similarly to nearby hotels. Arriving early in the morning, I met up with my brother for lunch and stocked up on groceries before returning to the rental by 5 o'clock. The place was simple, offering only a couch, TV, and bed, but considering the price, my expectations were modest. After a long day, I stayed up until 9 and eagerly settled into bed for a good night's sleep. Unfortunately, my anticipation was disrupted when I found myself lying awake for longer than desired. Eventually, I fell asleep, only to wake up in complete darkness, sensing that it was the dead of night. Before I could check the time, I heard something outside the room, footsteps slowly traversing the hallway, followed by a soft door closing. My body felt frozen as I lay in bed, staring into the dark room. After a minute of eerie silence, I summoned the courage to investigate. Quietly, I walked through the rooms, finding no one. The only sign of intrusion was the unlocked front door, with no footprints or missing items. Concerned, I called 911. They arrived promptly but offered little assistance, advising me to ensure all doors were locked and to contact the owner. Unable to sleep, I stayed vigilant until morning. After informing the rental owner about the incident, he changed the door's PIN code, providing a semblance of comfort. Despite spending the day with my brother, the unease persisted when I returned to the rental between 8 and 9 p.m. Sitting on the couch, sleepiness battled with nervousness. Every time I neared sleep, fear of the intruder's return jolted me awake. Determined to ease my mind, I decided to recheck the rooms. Walking through the living room and kitchen, I proceeded down the hallway to the bedroom. After inspecting the closet and attached bathroom, I heard footsteps rushing toward the bedroom. Swinging around the corner, I glimpsed a large man slamming the bedroom door shut. His footsteps echoed toward the living room as I stood frozen, listening. After a brief internal debate, I called the police again. This time, the homeowner arrived too. The living room and kitchen bore the marks of a disturbance. Furniture scattered, cabinets open, contents strewn across the floor. Oddly, nothing appeared missing. It seemed the intruder sought something specific. Following this unsettling encounter, I opted for a hotel, receiving no updates in the following days. The intruder was likely never apprehended, leaving me with lingering questions. What haunts me most is that I had thoroughly checked the house that one night. So where had he hidden? How long had he been with me in the house? Was he observing me? And what might have occurred if I had fallen asleep on the couch? I reside in the western part of Wyoming, surrounded by small towns and lengthy roads connecting them. My town, consisting of 40 to 50 buildings, spans barely a square mile. The next closest town is an hour's drive away. My cottage-type home is nestled down a trail away from the town center. Living alone with my dog Sam, I usually find it peaceful. Working from home, I follow a routine, working until 5, then taking Sam for a long walk, often through a trail I crafted in the forest behind my house. This story takes place in the middle of winter, with a light snowfall. On one such evening, as the sun began to set, Sam suddenly perked up, staring ahead on our walk back. Although it was somewhat dark, I could see clearly that there was nothing there. Continuing forward, I noticed footprints on the path, an unusual sight on my self-made trail next to my isolated home. What made it even stranger was their direction, cutting across the trail and straight through the trees in the direction of my house. These footprints had to be recent, within the last 10 minutes for sure. Feeling uneasy, I quickened my pace as the snow intensified. Exiting the tree line, it was too dark and snowy to see the house clearly. Despite Sam's presence offering some reassurance, a sense of unease lingered. Opening the front door, Sam seemed normal, but I couldn't shake the thought of those footprints. Seeking peace of mind, I checked around the house for any additional footprints. In the heavy snow and darkness, I inspected the left side of my house and saw nothing unusual. Suddenly, Sam started barking from inside, startling me. Rushing back to the front, I found him at the back door, tail between his legs, intensely staring. My adrenaline surged as I noticed water on the floor, right by the doormat, and footprints leading up to the door and around the side of the house. Fearful and feeling trapped, I retrieved my hunting rifle for self-defense, fully aware of its limitations. Uncertain of the intruder's identity, intentions, or whereabouts, I knew they were willing to risk their life for whatever they sought. The footprints led to the right side of the house, and as I turned on the lights, I heard heavy footsteps running away from the window. Remaining on high alert for hours, I was unsure of what to do. In this remote area, police services were limited, leaving me mostly on my own. Thankfully, that night seemed to conclude the incident. I reported it to the police the next morning, but answers were elusive. Though it left me more uncomfortable with the isolation, having Sam by my side undoubtedly played a crucial role in scaring away the intruder. Several years ago, while in college, I experienced a similar unsettling event. It occurred just after finals when winter break was starting, and students were required to vacate the dorms. Waiting for my parents, who were due on the last possible day, I found myself alone in an emptied building. Around 10 p.m., as I prepared for bed, a knock on my door startled me. I opened it to find a large, bundled-up young man who claimed to be searching for his roommate. He described the roommate's features but didn't provide a name. The situation seemed odd and I hesitated to reveal any information. The encounter left me uneasy, adding an unexpected layer to the solitude of the break.